whole world at our feet, watching seasons change. Our roads were lined with adventure, mountains in the way couldn't keep us from the sea. Here we stand, open arms. This is home where we are, ever strong in the world that we made. I still hear you in the breeze, see your shadows in the trees, holding on, memories never change.
Okay, good evening everyone and welcome to my, 118th live stream? But actually it's a live stream, well, first live stream in a long time. Not the last one though, hopefully, though I do have a feeling that we're like, the last couple of live streams were like, oh, Gunvale is like popping up to say that he's going to live stream more, and then he disappears for another half a year. Hopefully this won't be the case. I have another live stream planned tomorrow that's Polish language, but after that I need to take a short break. In August or even in end of July there will be a technical-ish talk on my live stream about PCI Express. So that one might interest you more, because today we'll be just chatting basically about what happened in last like couple of months with me. Basically, there was like a lot of happened, and also what's going to come next for me, because I know there usually folks have a lot of questions about that. So I decided to make just one live stream about it, like fully dedicated to it, so we can get the questions out of the way, and in next live streams like focus on other stuff. So as always, wow, choppy video. That's funny. Wow, it is choppy. What's going on? Can you hear me correctly though? Tell me if audio is good. Audio is good. Okay, perfect. So what can I do with the camera? You know what? Let's maybe wait a moment, because this might be... What's the issue with? Is it an issue with... That's funny. Like I can see me on the playback really good. On YouTube, I can see me, as you say, 1 frame per second. Let's see what will happen if I will turn off the camera for a second and turn it back on. Okay, now the camera is off. Press the reset button, and now the camera is on. Okay. That doesn't look great. No, maybe it works. Hey, does it work? Wow, it looks like it works. Amazing. Wow, I did not expect this to fix the issue. Just turning off the camera and turning it back on. Technical things, how do they work? So, hello everyone, now I can wave and you can see me waving, not actually like just like, like just moving my hand around with 1 FPS. Awesome, I see quite a lot of people, so welcome. Cool. Okay, so let's go with... I have like some stuff to talk, so let's get that out of the way, and then if you have any questions, just feel free to ask, and I will be happy to answer them. So starting with what already you saw in the title of the video is basically that I left Google by the end of April, basically, or with the beginning of May. You can like say that whichever way you like. After, I believe, 12.5 years at Google, and there is no drama. I was pretty sad to leave at the end of the day. My team was pretty amazing, but even, like the story goes that even before the pandemic hit, I was thinking that I would really like to try build something from scratch. Working at Google was pretty amazing, basically, and I could do a lot of things which I would not be able to do in any other place due to, well, quite a lot of infrastructure in place. For example, I don't believe I will have a chance in the next couple of years to operate a fuzzer on so many servers that we did at Google. For example, if you recall one of our blog posts that we made with Euro from, I don't know, that was years ago already, but that was like, yeah, so we're running a fuzzer on like 1,000 servers or 2,000 servers and so on and so forth. So yeah, I'm not sure I'm going to be able to run a fuzzer in the next year or two on 1,000 servers. So that will kind of suck. Also, people at Google are really wonderful. Like my team basically went from, like, when I joined, it was 17 people between like 2 or 3 offices, like between Europe, between the States. And when I was leaving, the team was split, I think, into 3 teams already. And if like the team itself, the core team was like over 100, like something between 100 and 200 people, basically. And that doesn't count Project Zero, which like was a spin-off at some point, and one other team which was also a spin-off at some point, which was like super large as well. So yeah, security grew through the like 12 years I was there, and people were absolutely amazing. Like it's really humbling to work with like top-notch people, and it was like always amazing to chat, for example, with Tavis or Monody or with Halvar Flake and with many other people. It was like great to also hear them chatting about various stuff or just discussing it. As I said, it was humbling, it was great to see, and it was very motivating to to try to learn another thing, like go more in depth the next time when I do research and so on and so forth. So that's pretty cool. But even before the pandemic, as I said, I wanted to try and build something on my own. So I was like just about to leave Google. I think I even told my director that, hey, I'm probably going to leave soon. And then the pandemic hit. So I was like, yeah, I probably shouldn't be leaving now, because that sounds like a really bad idea. And I think it's good that I didn't leave, because in a few next months, actually, COVID even, well, caught me, and it took some time to recover for me, like really took some time. So, yeah, but then like years kept going, and at the end of previous year, I decided that, hey, I think it's finally time. Even like around middle last year, I kind of decided, but yeah, it's about time I try again, like try leaving again, I guess. That kind of sounds like a sect, but like no issues like that, absolutely. I thought the time was right, and so I was like thinking, initially planning maybe leaving in September, but then we started doing Accelerate in London, which was a pretty amazing project. I really wanted to see that through. We had a great team. That was like, if you don't know, that was basically a hacking / esport competition, where we actually were able this year to get people on site to London, and then we did a typical esport tournament with like teams playing against each other games, but the games were about, well, hacking the game and how fast can you hack through the game. So that was sort of fun. We worked with, I was basically doing I was leading the on-site event, and part of some other stuff. Ian Padney was leading the game development, and there were a lot of people helping with that. And yeah, that was an amazing project. Like, I learned how to manage a 20 people team in a high pace tournament environment. I got to work with a live director who was managing the cameras and everything, which was absolutely amazing. That was an amazing project. I'm really glad I stayed for that project. So yeah, so then it started shifting. I was like, maybe I should leave in December. But actually in January, what happened with, in January, Googlers get bonuses, like yearly bonuses. I always got a yearly bonus in January. So I was like, yeah, maybe I'll stay. And there were some changes, and the bonus was kind of split into January and March. So I was like, yeah, maybe I'll just wait for that. And then came the unfortunate event of Google starting layoffs. So this was a tragedy for a lot of people. Like, basically January comes and suddenly some people in the States wake up that, like, hey, I've been let go just over the night, right? And that was awful for a lot of people. And Google announced that they're laying off, I think they said 12,000 people all over the world. And yeah, that was like let's call it a clean cut in US. Like, basically people were let go, and and then the announcement came, right? Now, this wasn't the case in Europe. In Europe, because there were a lot of worker protection laws here, it was a rather a long and slow torture even, because people didn't know people knew that they will be let go, but didn't know when will they be let go. And they're every country has its own process of how do you let go people. That process depends on how many people are you laying off. And also the size of company matters, and so on and so forth. Like, sometimes it involves negotiating the agreements with employee representatives. So yeah, now from my perspective, it was kind of the opposite, right? I was like, yeah, I'm planning to leave anyway. If they fire me, that's that's great. I get a severance package. So it's like, that would be great for me. So I decided to stay a little bit longer just to see if I would be, fired. And that would be actually really good for others as well, because if I get fired, that's perfect, because like that means nobody else is on the like who has a different situation, way different situation than I do, is going to be laid off. Unfortunately, that didn't happen, so I had to leave on my own accord, which is why I finally left only in like with the end of April. So that's basically the story. Now, as I said, I was like, I was planning to create my own company, and for some time now, the company is created right now. If you can, well, some people already on the chat. I'm pretty sure you know how the company is called if your OS int is good. So if your OS int is really good, you also know that I actually created 2 companies in 2 different countries, but that's just like legalities. It's complicated. Anyway, so so the company is called Hexarcana, and what we are going to do is we are going to provide what you know me from is basically provide security education, security courses. That would be in-person training, live trainings, and also later a website with trainings. Now, that's part of what we'll do, but also we will likely do security research. This is what I always enjoyed doing, I think I can say I was pretty decent at. I mean, that Pony Award there kinda shows that, I hope. And apart from that, likely a little bit of pen testing, and likely quite a lot of security consultancy, like consulting. So I don't know, if your company is looking for trainings or like, courses, live or online or whatever, or like security consulting, consultants in this case, let us know. We are currently still setting up, which means that it's kind of easier to find time in the calendar for another client. I'm not sure how that's going to be in the future, but like currently I really encourage folks to reach out. Since, we're setting up, we still have like a lot of things to figure out how we do, and it's always, I think, great for customers and to be in this initial period, because there's a lot of flexibility in play. Now, if you go to our website, by the way, the company is registered in Switzerland. The official name is Hexarcana Cybersecurity GmbH. Now, let me open the website. I'm not going to spam too much about the company today. Just wanted to let you know what's going on. And the website is also not really even begun to be developed because, again, early stages. So let me switch to desktop. There we go. And it's going to be hexarcana.ch. And yeah, this is all that there is currently in the website. If you're curious about what we will do in the future, just sign up for a newsletter. There will be some technical posts. There will be later on trainings online, like training courses. We are already working on and this will be announced later, on a training course for like basically dealing with binary files. Like if you saw me on live streams playing with hex editors, then you can, there will be basically a course like about how to use a hex editor, from like I know nothing about hex editors to I am really really good with them. So that's one thing. And the other is, as you, I guess, shouldn't be surprised if you've listened to my live streams for the like last few years, is that, yeah, we're making an assembly, x86 64-bit assembly and reverse engineering course with our team. So that should be fun. And now there's also a Polish website. If I know there are usually some Polish viewers, I'm going to have a Polish live stream tomorrow, but just in case, there's also hexarcana.pl with which looks identical. It's just in Polish, and you can also sign up for a Polish newsletter. So I invite you to do that. Now, by the way, if you talk Polish, if you go to KrzaQ, or tomorrow, if you go to krzaq.pl, some of the trainings will be already available there. And I think the first one is even there. It's an introductory training. The ones in English will be announced a little bit later, so I'll come back to that later. Now, that's the company. Apart from the company, what we are doing, we are restarting PageDout, the magazine, which is a free magazine where every article is one page, and there are articles from like hacking, programming, reverse engineering, hardware, and so on and so forth. This is pretty high on my priority list, and I'm super happy I finally have time to restart Paged Out. That was like, I really like that project, and I know a lot of people enjoyed it. You can see the first 2 issues which came out on pagedout.institute. Here we go. You can download them here. They're like free. They're like free magazines, right? Where every article is like exactly 1 page, which makes authors kind of have to force themselves to, pass as much knowledge as they can in just 1 page, because they're not going to get another page. Nobody gets another page. Nobody can make oh, just part 1 of the article is on this page and part 2 will be on another. No, you have to like squeeze everything on 1 page. And I know people enjoyed this format, especially that the authors get like to fully decide how they use the page. Everyone can do their own like, oh, I want to do like 2 column articles of somebody else can say that, oh, I actually do like, I don't know, I'm just going to use this for a code for some script. Somebody else can decide that, oh, I'm going to do this thing, which is done here, which is a pretty fun article as well, by the way. So, yeah, we are finally able to restart it, and I'm super happy about it, super excited about it. I know the team is as well, because they have been like pretty vocal about why haven't I done that before. So yeah, this is another thing which will basically happen in the future. And I'm also going back to live streaming. Now, what will I do on live streaming? I don't know yet. One of the things I really want to do is to go through my old book about programming. And because I have already an English translation, furthermore, the English translation has been moved to LaTeX by one person. Like I am eternally grateful for taking that and like moving the whole book, 600 pages of it, from like ebook/Word format into LaTeX. Thank you very much. You know who you are. That was amazing help. So what I want to do is I want to go through that book and on live stream basically like update it, but also fix the bugs which have been there, and discuss like why is this like what I've written here in this like paragraph, why is this incorrect, why shouldn't it be done like that. A lot of bugs have been reported. I'm kind of behind the bug bounty by 7 years, and I guess on that book, so I will also have to send out quite a lot of postcards. But yeah, that's something I want to do, and I will also want to make the book available on the website for free. There will be like, you will be able to buy an ebook, like an EPUB or PDF or whatnot, or buy a printed version at some point, but the book will be available for free on the website. So editing that book and making that website will be part of the things I would like to do on live streams. So that's basically what I have planned for the next, let's say, I don't know, half a year, maybe year, and let's see how that goes. So keep your fingers crossed, please. That will be, I'm really excited by this, but this is only the second company I'm creating, and the first one was like ages ago, like 15 years ago, and that doesn't count really, so it should be fun. But it's also a little bit of uncharted territory for me. Cool, so with that being said, I guess we can switch to questions. Okay, and I guess it's not, yeah, the FPS looks fine now, so I'm just checking what my moderators wrote. Thank you to my moderators today, that would be Diane and Foxtrot Charlie. Thank you very much for being here and helping me with the streams. Okay, so let's go with... okay, so Stefan is asking the really important question. So we are called Hex Arcana, right? And there's this new platform, hex3.io, made by Life Overflow and another person. So is there any connection? No, there is no connection. We also didn't consult each other when selecting names. The fact that both of us have the prefix hex is kind of, you know, I'm going to claim great minds think alike. This is what I'm going to say. We had a laugh about that, we chatted about that with Life some time ago, but no, our like platforms are not connected. Also, our platform will likely not be called Hexarcana. Hexarcana is going to be the name of a company, but when we do online courses, that's going to have a different name. Also to avoid confusion, but yeah. Okay, so what are other questions? We have one here. Okay, so hi Karstein. Karstein is asking, when am I becoming the CISO of Snapchat? Okay, so this is kind of an inside joke, because I think 3 of my managers from Google at some point were the CISO of Snapchat. That would be El Kamtav, Michał Zalewski, who I believe is retired right now, based on his Twitter messages. This is how I read them. That would be Matt Moore, who was my first manager at Google, and then also our director of our team. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think one of my last managers, Jim Higgins, also became CISO of Snapchat at some point. But yeah, I decided not to go for a mere CISO role. As you can see, I kind of decided to be a managing director, which I guess is the top that you can be in a company. And it doesn't matter that the company has like 3 people. Totally doesn't matter. Okay. Yeah, like there was an internal joke basically at our team, but our team is like kind of a CISO factory, but like every manager in our team at some point becomes the CISO of some other company, which like if you look at the history at the managers, that apparently is true. So there we go. Are you going to, from Czesław, a question, are you going to open source paged out production chain or producing tool chain? Great question, but probably no. We will, or maybe later in the existence of paged out. Currently, the toolchain, I don't even know what state is it in. And with paged out, it's going to be like this. We are going to likely move paged out, not fully, but like have Hexarcana be the manager of paged out, because this will simplify my accounting a lot, like really. And when our company becomes successful, and I'm saying here when, not if, obviously, then I would love to create like a foundation for paged out and move everything related to paged out there. And also likely put the project under someone's management who can focus on that 100%. And if they decide at that point that, hey, how about we just open source everything, that might be what's going to happen. Okay, ChatGPT, please transform this into LaTeX, from Johnny. That's a comment related to what I said about the book being like fully translated to LaTeX. The issue is that I think ChatGPT could do that for, well, first of all, it could do that for a small amount of tokens, right? And it's also pretty slow. Well, I guess faster than a human, but still pretty slow. And the issue is that if it doesn't understand, I believe, Word documents at all. So the Word document would have to be translated to something else, which kind of already breaks formatting, and that would have to be like to HTML, and that to LaTeX. Also, because ChatGPT has a pretty short memory, we are talking about a 600-page book, right? So even the 32K tokens that ChatGPT through API, which isn't even available for public, I think is like closed beta or something, like even that would be not like have too short of a memory to kind of remember all the formatting it used in the past. But maybe doing some like weird agent setups, that could be possible. That being said, the conversion was mostly done before ChatGPT even appeared, so that's kind of a moot point. It's interesting, however, like ChatGPT is kind of a game changer, like in programming and a lot of other things. I think I use like ChatGPT today for 3 or 4 different things, 2 of them programming related, and it wasn't perfect, but it saves time at the end of the day, so I really like it. Just like like to get access to the ChatGPT 4 API, please, thank you. Maybe someday, maybe someday. Okay, there's 5-minute delay on the streams. I don't think there's a... No, it's like I wasn't looking at questions before, and I'm currently like just jumping between questions, so I don't think there's a delay. Okay. Leszek asks, will I stay in Switzerland? Yes, that's the plan. I will stay in Switzerland. I'm not moving from here. I really like it here. So yeah, no reason to move basically. Let's go for the next question then. Sorry, okay, there's a question about paged out from Vikas, but I have addressed paged out already. Perfect. Martin writes, good luck with your own companies. Thank you very much, Martin. What do you think about the current state of the IT market? Many companies say that situation is bad and investors don't have money for new products. Good question. Kind of the IT market in general is in turmoil. Like the hype on AI even like that threw everything like upside down, right? With like companies struggling to jump on the AI bandwagon before everyone figures out that yeah, we are not really close to artificial general intelligence, but AI is a hypey topic, especially with ChatGPT being pretty awesome, as I already said today. So it's interesting. I'm not sure what to make of today's market. I'm kind of like, from my perspective, like somebody who just created a security company, my take on it is that like security is not going anywhere, right? And security services will always be needed. So I'm not afraid about that. That being said, there are a lot of other issues. Like for example, first of all the tech companies also jumped at the beginning of the year on the bandwagon of just like, let's lay off people, right? Which already isn't great. Personally, and this is my personal opinion, I don't think that was justified. I think that was like companies were just doing internal optimization of like, yeah, we don't really need these many people. Let's like just shake the companies a bit, save some money, and see if what we are left with is working maybe a little bit more optimally, right? And with total disregard, obviously, to the livelihood of employees. Yeah, so that's one thing. Like when we have new programmers, for example, are going to have a little bit of a tougher time to find the first job, mostly because like with ChatGPT, Copilot, and so on being so good, you suddenly don't need that many junior programmers in your company. So, and they might also be expected to be a little bit better due to that. So that's another thing which I see. And yeah, it's a weird times. You're living in weird times. That's for sure. I think I'm going to end the topic here and let's just continue with our questions. Evangeline writes, how many of you are running the company? Is Euro also joining the company? Euro is not joining the company at this moment. For like, the main reason for that is that I'm, under, well, what's it called? Like, there's in the contract, there's usually a clause that after leaving a company, you will not tell other people to leave, right? So I just cannot even discuss this. But like, regardless of that, how many of you are running the company? It kind of depends how you count, but let's say between 3 and 4 people at this point, and I'm still thinking if we need more in this initial period. I hope we will grow next year a lot. What is your take on the current, from Hexploit, what is your take on the current AI hype? And are you planning to release some courses or video on security plus AI? Okay, so when the hype started late last year or early this year, I started to going back to AI, like relearning AI again. Because last time I played with neural networks, that was when I was still in my university, and that was like literally 15 years ago. So I started like, reading papers, making notes, reading books, and so on and so forth to kind of catch myself up to speed. And my personal take on it is that, first of all, as I already said, coding tools are pretty amazing, and what ChatGPT does is pretty amazing. I do believe people who are like copywriters and text writers as freelancers might have a little bit more issues finding clients in the future. For programmers, like, don't worry, we are not going anywhere. As I already mentioned, I do believe that junior programmers might have a little bit more of an issue. That being said, ChatGPT is a great learning partner as well. So using it to like, hey, here's my program, something doesn't work. Can you tell me what is like? ChatGPT might like say like, oh, this is the issue here. Now, ChatGPT is a pathological liar, of course, right? Because it's at the end of the day, this is just like a probabilistic machine, which is like, what is it called? Like officially like a stochastic parrot, right? So it's basically like a large language model which will just spit out words with a certain probability, depending on what it believes according to mathematical calculations should be the next word. And which kind of means that it will rarely, very, very rarely say, I don't know, I have no idea, because it's not thinking, right? It's just like predicting the next word. So due to that, be also like ChatGPT I hope it will teach people a lot of skepticism, and skepticism is really good. So when using ChatGPT to generate code, for example, I do see from time to time that, well, pretty frequently, every time, that's not like sugar-coated, every time I see that there are some issues with the code, okay? And and therefore there are like things to fix. To be careful while generating the code. From a security perspective, I believe a lot of issues in the future will be due to ChatGPT and Copilot and so on and so forth, generating bad code and people just like happily copy-pasting it. This isn't like a huge difference from like grabbing an incorrect answer from Stack Overflow and copying it to your code. It's just the source is a little bit more interactive in this case. Now, that being said, the topic of security in AI is pretty interesting. I already did one talk for I believe one university about this, and it's like it's such a huge topic, right? Because like we obviously have what a lot of hype was about as in like prompt injection. Prompt injection is interesting. It's not as interesting as other things related to AI security, which would be, for example, having a model, how do you pull data out of it? Or can you maybe prevent pulling data out of it? Having a model, can you clone the model? And which we kind of already know with Alpaca, right? That's kind of doable. Then there like, there's like a great paper on image recognition, for example, where people were like the researchers basically showed that, hey, here's the photo, and the photo, for example, contains, a giraffe, right? A giraffe. And AI says, hey, that's a giraffe. And then they like slightly modified values of some pixels, which was totally like imperceptible for a human. And suddenly AI says, hey, that's a car. It's like, which is totally different from a giraffe. We still see a giraffe, but the AI was like, yeah, that's a car, like totally. Like, yeah, Mercedes. Like, I drove something like that, like, last week when I was, I don't know, I hallucinated I was a human or something. So, but it was, like, there's, like, a lot of security in AI which isn't strictly related to prompt injection. And I think it's absolutely fascinating, and I do expect, I have also scheduled a talk in November about this topic, and I believe we will, like, at some point have both courses about it and maybe talks and articles and so on, but that's territory for the next year, basically. Have you read Azaria's ARM assembly book? I have not read it. I obviously have it on my shelf, because if Azaria writes a book about ARM assembly, you buy that book. So yeah, like, I have really high opinion of her and her skills, so it was like a no-brainer for me. And it's somewhere behind me on the shelf. I currently, by the way, this is like, my shelves have overflowed. I have like multiple other shelves already there with books, with technical books. I think I'm buying too many books. How is your German going? Not bad, actually not bad. I am not yet ready to do live streams in German or talks in German, But I'm reading more and more stuff in German. I'm also more comfortable talking in German. So, and also I'm doing, because of a company which is registered again in Switzerland, I'm doing quite a lot of paperwork in German. So it's going pretty good. I hope it will in some time arrive at the level of at least my English. But it will still take years though. Okay, No Way writes, "Hey Gunvale, hope you've been well. I have, how are you? Any tips yet for deciphering the blob on page 38 of Paged Out?" Okay, let's take a look. 38, what was there? Paged Out 2, page 38. Is it PDF page or in magazine numbering? Because they might differ. Ah, this one. Oh, I don't remember currently what it was. I just remember that, yeah, I was able to decipher it. So I don't know. Can we quickly decipher it somehow? Let's go with what, CyberChef, and take a look at what we get. Oh, it's not copyable because this is maybe the print version. Yeah, I think this is the print version, which means that this has been already like the fonts has been changed to curves for printing, which is like, really, that's, or maybe that has been done for this advertisement only. So yeah, I cannot copy it, I'm sorry, therefore we will not look at it, because I totally don't want to fight with an OCR and fixing individual bugs. But if you're super interested, send me an email, because I'm pretty sure I have the solution for this summer, so I can look it up. Okay, Theo says, "Hey, a very random question, but do you have any plans on running your honeypot again? It was a really fun stream where you analyzed what attacked it." It's a good question. I like honeypots in general, and that what you're referring to, what Fios is referring to, was an SSH honeypot I was running for some time. Maybe we should do some more honeypots at some point. So yeah, let's do that. But why not? Why not? That sounds fun. Vikas writes, "I see a lot of books on your shelf at the back. I would love to explore and read those. If you don't mind, can you please once post picture of your bookshelf with visible book names?" Usually at the, like, okay, back in the days, at the end of a year, I did a live stream about like just going through the books which I have on my bookshelves. We might do that again. Otherwise, feel free to email me. I can at least give you a link to the like photos from previous year's streams, where like most of the books are there, not all of them. Or maybe I can just like find a couple of minutes and make the photos. So yeah, if you're curious, just email me or like catch me on my Discord. Our Discord is like, if you just go to gunvale.coldwin.pl/discord, it will lead you to our Discord. TKDM writes, "Do you have any opinion on copyright issues with AI?" Oh, there are a lot of them. A lot of issues. As for my opinions, is yeah, yes, I have some. So okay, if you're a little bit new to AI, there are like, in general, large language models and also stuff like Midjourney. They were taught on a large amount of data. Now, large language models are taught, basically they're like crawlers which are going through the internet, like Google bots, right? And then you can download like everything which they indexed. And LLMs were in general like learned on something like that. And I by the way learned about that you can download this, and I played a little bit with this because I think on the Wikipedia of ChatGPT there's actually like kinda written what have they used. So if you're interested, just go there. Anyway, which kind of means that they are using a lot of things which are probably copyrighted, right? And just a reminder that every country has different copyright laws. So what might be like, if I created something in Switzerland that might not have any copyrights attached to it, because copyrights in Switzerland work like, but it has to be like really unique and like creative and interesting and so on and so forth. and not everyone should be able to do it, while in some other countries it might be a little bit strict, where like almost everything is copyrighted, right? So when they take that and process it, now if you process something, in general, it either loses copyrights or it's fair use, which I'm not sure companies can claim, but apparently they do. I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know. Or it's like a derivative work, which still has some copyright attached. Now, in all cases, I believe, in cases of Copilot and in cases of like Midjourney, they have been sued in both US and UK by either artists, which like and the stock photo company. I'm thinking of one stock photo like Getty Images, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. Because like when you did something in Midjourney, like sometimes even banners from the anti-download image banners from Getty Images were popping up in output of Midjourney. And similarly, people found their own code, which was like a little bit more complex, generated by Copilot. Copilot basically like just generated code, which was clearly copyrighted from my perspective as a programmer, not a lawyer, and or should have been at least. And was like, for example, on GPL2 license, and yes, only like Copilot just spits it verbatim. So there are lawsuits going on, and I'm following them and really curious what's going to happen. What I keep repeating to my team is that we are we basically shouldn't use generating code for critical projects because like nobody knows yet where the copyright debate is going to go with it. Also, I believe the Copyright Office of US decided that output of LLMs is not copyrightable, or any AIs in general, which is like another interesting thing, right? Which kind of means that like, hey, should we treat it as public domain basically, and it's fair to incorporate it in our code, just like this piece isn't copyrightable but everything else is, or does something else happen there? So I'm curious. I am watching the discussion. I personally don't have too much of an opinion. I am that being said, I fully understand why artists are annoyed, especially artists are annoyed that their work has been used by Midjourney and so on and so forth to teach the model, and then like they literally lost contracts due to some people, even like publishers, like book publishers and so on, switched from contracting them for work to actually just like using Midjourney to generate a book cover, or contracting somebody who'd done it like 10 times cheaper because they were using Midjourney or DALL-E or whatever. So that sucks. Like that's not good. And the kind of saving grace there is that using Midjourney is really hard to, like, if you don't have any skills, you can like write some prompts, but if you get an image and you want to just slightly modify it, that's going to be a little bit more problematic. And if you need to create a whole composition, like a lot of images in the same style and so on and so forth, but that's like super hard. That's like easier to do it by hand, I imagine. I might be wrong here, but that's my take on it. So yeah, copyright situation is pretty interesting. I'm looking forward to it. RDXR10 writes, what's your say on malware creation with GPT? I don't think it's going to change that much, the whole scape. This is something that we should ask somebody who is in malware. I played with malware I was a malware analyst last time, 15 years ago. So my take on malware is kind of outdated, and keep that in mind. I don't think, that being said, I don't think ChatGPT is going to change malware too much, the malware landscape, because like already anyone could just go to darknet and buy whatever, right? Like buy botnets, or botnet kits. And what ChatGPT is going to do is just make it a little bit easier to create more malware, but that malware isn't going to be too good. It's going to be as good as the imagination of whoever is playing with it, and that will be multiplied by 0.1 due to bugs introduced by ChatGPT and the person not knowing what they are doing. So yeah, I don't think it's going to be a huge issue. That's my take on it again. Is there any reason that a lot of your previous YouTube videos disappeared, are hidden or set to private? I don't think that's the case actually. It's just that at some point YouTube created usually all live streams and videos were in the same tab. And then YouTube changed that, and now you have live streams in one tab and videos in another tab. So all the videos are still available. You just have to go to the archival live stream tab or whatever it's called. Yeah. And if there is no some live stream is missing there, I think some of my Just Chatting are missing there on the playlist, which is called Just Chatting. And if something is really gone, just let me know. I do look from time to time on, through the YouTube list that me as a creator can see, right? If there's anything banned, but I don't believe any videos are banned right now. If something is banned, do let me know. Okay, Farizeus, hello. What is your impression of the bone conduction headphones? Hot or not, these ones? I like them. It's okay. This is I need to add this to FAQ because this is a commonly asked questions. In honesty, I am using different headphones for different purposes. So I'm using these headphones so I can hear the outside world, and I can cook, for example, or I can walk, and I can listen to audiobook while doing that. That being said, I don't use them for listening to music, for example. I sometimes do, but I usually try not to because their quality is iffy. So they're good for some purposes. Also, ears don't get hot like over the head at headphones, for example, like these ones. On the flip side, if I'm in a plane, I likely would prefer to have these ones because they are noise cancelling, right? And if I'm playing a game, then I likely would prefer to have these ones because they have a microphone, which is also a bit better. So it's I'm not annoying my my teammates. So yeah, I like them. They are good. They are just not general purpose. Okay. SB writes, what does it take really to join Google security team? Say for Red Team in comparison to other common companies? Good question. So I know I am fond of saying good question, but it is a good question. Now, I'm not sure I can fully answer that because my knowledge of other companies is minimal. It's like this. If it's a small company, they usually have a little bit different bar of hiring, but also a totally different process. The first two companies, security companies I worked for, literally the first one just gave me a project to work on, and they were happy with it. So they said, yeah, sure, here's another project. This is how I was hired in the first company. Which is totally unusual, but it made sense in that specific case. Now for the second company, they basically went through what I have online and were yeah, here's a test project, just do this. It was some malware analysis, and if we're happy with the report, welcome on board, and that was it. Now at Google, I went through 1.5 hour phone interview, then I was flown to Zurich, and then I went through, I think, 5 45-minute interviews, which were technical, all of them technical. So yeah, and then they asked me for a scan and translation of my university grades and for free references and so on and so forth. And they also heavily looked at my previous research, which I did. So it's the bar there is absolutely higher, but that's what I'm going to say. Is there are a lot of people, think about this. There are a lot of people applying to top companies, right? I mean, Fortune 500, for example. A lot of people are applying. These are good brands, right? Or rather, known brands in some cases. So people are applying to them, and therefore they have a large selection of candidates. So who are they going to pick? Well, obviously the people who they think are the best candidates for the job. And yeah, like whether you can actually evaluate somebody in like 45 minutes or like 5 times 45 minutes is it's another thing, right? It's as an interviewer, I don't think you can, because you might be just like, you know, asking the wrong questions all the time. But yeah, given this, so the difference will be there in what your skill level, like the bar is just, the hiring bar is just going to be so much higher. I think that's the main difference. And like when there are teams like Project Zero, where you actually have like to be an accomplished researcher with a lot of publications, with a lot of vulnerabilities found and so on and so forth, and pretty fresh research at that. So there we go. Like in a nutshell, I would say that's the answer there. Mr. Savanev writes, do you plan to do challenge on live like you did for Root Me a long time ago? I will likely be doing challenges on live streams, yes. That's likely, that's also something I've been like kind of thinking about through the last couple of days, and I think like, yeah, there will be challenges. There will be challenges. We're also kind of playing with the idea to do a Hexarchana CTF at some point. Did you get your driver's license? Yes, I did get it 1.5 years ago, something like that, basically. And I'm happily driving right now on a temporary license, because in Switzerland, you first get a temporary license for 3 years, and if you don't screw up, then you get a normal license. Okay, the screen is lagging. Let me reset the camera again, so don't worry. And I'm back. Okay, so hopefully it's going to be a little bit better. Will there be a stream schedule? A great question. We'll see. It might be... Okay, it kind of depends, because like I have absolutely no idea how much time will my company take which is irregular. If there will be a lot of irregular meetings which I have to attend, then streams are going to be opportunistic. Otherwise, the streams are going to be like according to some schedule. And the schedule might be pretty weird, actually. Like, it might be like some streams are going to be like now at this time, and some stream might be early in the morning for me to cover, you know, more of Australia evening, India evening, and so on and so forth. Daniel writes, you did many CTF and solutions. Is there some elegant or effective technique you find unknown, underused, or underappreciated? Ask me that question in a couple of months, because I actually did a talk a few months ago, like 2 months ago, about exactly this, like how to win in CTFs, basically it was titled. And it was about like the weird techniques that sometimes people don't know about, but they work. So yeah, if you ask me that in a couple of months, maybe I will be able then to redo the talk in English or do something similar. But in general, yes. The answer is yes. There are like techniques which people in top teams usually know or have heard about, and everyone else just doesn't know about. Okay, how to cyber rights. How do you suggest someone who has 4 years of experience in typical network security and security operations function break into application security? I'm trying to switch, but it's overwhelming. It is overwhelming. Do learn programming first. That would be my hint, is because like application security is about understanding the application design, architecture, and implementation better than the programmer that has created it, the designer that has designed it, and so on and so forth. Therefore, do learn programming, and do learn programming really well. And that should give you a big boost in getting into application security. And at the same time, obviously, like learn all the, you know, select the technology and learn all the typical vulnerabilities, like especially one which are classed, which have a class name assigned, and know how they're exploited, know how to prevent against them, and so on and so forth. Okay, let's go with the next question. HexorRex writes, what research and pen testing areas are you planning to cover with Hex Arcana? I mean, web app, IoT, hardware security, and so on. Initially, we'll do what I guess we'll do best, which would be both web security and low-level security, and also like system security. IoT likely, hardware security likely not. Because like hardware security would go into like, you know, fault injection and stuff like that. I know the concept, I never done it, so I don't think I would be a good person to do a pen test on for like a hardware chip. That being said, yeah, like web apps, IoT, low-level security, like system security, C++ apps, that kind of stuff, absolutely. Strings.exe grep flag still gets me flags. That is true, Joel. That is absolutely true. Grep to win is an amazing technique. And there are also ways to optimize it, by the way. You can use for example, a class string algorithm to like on all the strings which are outputted. So okay, grep to win, grep flag will work in case the flag is just plain text, right? If it's not plain text, then you can do strings and you can feed that into a clustering algorithm and you can look through clusters, because that's way faster than looking through normal strings. And then you can maybe find like, you know, the flag, but it's just like base 64. There we go. How did you learn C? What do you think about Rust? Questions from Janek. I learned C a long time ago. I think around 2002, which would be 20 years ago. And I think I learned C++ first, actually. I switched from Turbo Pascal to C++, and I learned it by writing games, and then I switched to C, and I was writing a lot of other stuff. So yeah, writing code. I learned C by writing code, and I learned C++ by writing code. Then there was like a lot more to it, of course, like reading, you know, style guides, reading through the standard, reading through the C++ core guidelines, and so on. But that's the like beginning of it. What do I think about Rust? I think I should learn Rust. Actually, that brings me to another point. I was thinking of making a series of live streams, because I don't know anything about Rust. I literally written a hello world in Rust. So I was thinking of making a series of live streams just like, I am learning Rust. So you would basically be able to see how I am learning, and I would only learn on the live streams, and maybe apart from reading some chapters of stream, of some books or tutorials or like documentation or whatnot. And the goal would be to going from zero knowledge about Rust, which is basically what I currently have, to being able to write, I don't know, a web server and a ray tracer, for example, because why not? And I think this would be an interesting experiment, because first of all, I would have like some focus time on the live stream. Nothing can distract me on the live stream. And I would be ignoring questions to some extent. And at the same time, it would show you how am I learning. I would obviously not be learning programming, right? I have, I don't know, 30-ish years of programming experience. I do not have to learn programming. I know programming. I do have to learn Rust, so this would be isolated to only learning a new language while knowing programming, but it still might be interesting. Let me know, folks, on the chat, what do you think, or in the comments if you're watching this as a video later on, what do you think about this idea? Okay. What happened to the Dragon Sector team from Deepak? Dragon Sector team still exists, don't worry. They recently qualified to the Google CTF finals, for example. Congratulations to the team. I obviously couldn't play because I was still at Google when they were making the challenges and the CTF and Accelerate and so on. So yeah, obvious reasons. Now, in general, Dragon Sector had stopped playing kind of when the pandemic hit, because Dragon Sector, you know, we already were like 3 times top 1 team in the world according to CTF Times, right? Like I even got like that glass thing standing there is one of the like an award for getting top score on CTF Time in 2013, 14, something like that. So after that, Dragon Sector was basically playing to go to offline finals, and then suddenly all offline finals were cancelled. So yeah, so now it's kind of getting better, and Dragon Sector is playing again. I kind of switched off. I'm still in Dragon Sector, but I play sometimes, but rarely. And I currently play like simpler CTFs with friends for fun. What the future will bring, we'll see. Absolutely. Do you still learn FPGA? Any plans for live streams about FPGA? I do not. That's a question from Irazvi. So it's like this. I am not learning more FPGA. I can do simple projects with FPGAs, but I'm not learning more at this point. We could do maybe some simple streams from FPGAs, but it might be a little bit better if I grab somebody who knows FPGAs at some point and make a stream with them. They could probably tell you way more interesting things than I can about FPGAs, and FPGAs are absolutely amazing. I really like them. Hooker's right. Will your pay be comparable to Google Pay? Do you have contingency plans if it be much lower? I mean, for me, as somebody who is creating the company, my pay at the initially is going to be absolutely minimal, if not zero, because I really want to invest into the company, right? Like I want to put money back into the company. There are like some, I think, accounting reasons why I still need to get some pay, but it's going to be nowhere near what I was earning at Google. So yeah, and I have some savings, so I'm not super worried about that. All good. Janek writes, did you read Knuf's The Art of Computer Programming books? What do you think about them? The books are about... I don't have them on my bookshelf. I need to order them. Okay, so the books are basically about algorithms, right? They're like Corman in terms of algorithms, like introductions to algorithms by Corman et al. Anyway, I've tried reading some of them when I was learning algorithms on the university, and they were fine. Like for algorithms, yeah, they were fine. For me personally, I preferred more to see how an algorithm works than to read about it. But so what I usually did is like, I went back then to websites which had like Java applets with like a visualization of a given algorithm, and I could play with it interactively, and I would be, so this is how it works. This is, by the way, the best way, in my opinion, to learn algorithms, to like see them. And then after that, I went to basically Knuf or Corman, and I was like reading about it and like, oh, so this is what they mean. Now I can like connect this to what I just saw in the Java applet, and now I understand. If I just tried reading Knuf, it got a little bit harder, but I know it's kind of an acquired taste. I know that people who are really into algorithmics, they are like, yeah, like no issue, right? But I never got deep into algorithmics. I can do some, but if I need a heavy algorithm, I just find somebody who is really good in algorithms. So yeah, there's your answer. Any electronic streams planned? Will we see some fun with Raspberry Pi or some capacitors blowing up from KDM? Maybe. I do have a setup with cameras over my electronics desk right now, over my microscope. So likely. I don't have any plans at this moment, but I have the setup, so nothing will be stopping me. Farizerius writes, maybe Advent of Code and Rust on live streams. I still have a couple of months to prepare for that, so maybe that's not a bad idea. That's really not a bad idea. SQT, hi, hello. Did you leave Windows 11 for good? So I never went with my desktop to Windows 11 because I installed it on another computer, on a test computer, which I have. And I was like, yeah, how about no? And I switched to Kubuntu. So I have Windows 11 on my gaming PC, but I I like the how they changed the view of Windows 11, like the windows and so on. They look really nice, but I'm not going to switch to Windows 11 anytime soon. Also, that's annoying, but like it requires me to log into, Microsoft account, right? And then I created some files on the desktop, like in my my documents and so on. And then I turned off the synchronization with OneDrive or whatever that is, and it just like removed all the files because apparently they weren't like really synchronized from my drive to online. They were just available online or something, or it decided that hey, if you turn on synchronization, I'm just going to remove your files. That is annoying. What's up with that? Yeah. Are your cameras fast enough to crack passwords from the power LED? Kind of depends. I'm not sure how fast the camera has to be. Like this live stream is 30 FPS. I'm not sure that would be enough. Maybe. Like usually these kind of like things like power LEDs and listening with a microphone to the sound your coils make to crack to like extract RSA keys and so on, they're done in lab environment. I'm not sure if just going over internet will work. If you want to hijack my password, just like what Dohan pointed out at some point, is like if I have a microphone set like this, you can likely see my hands over my keyboard. Or in this configuration you cannot. I think you cannot, which is good. But what still happens is this microphone moves every time I type on the keyboard, and you can likely, based on what you see me typing, you can likely create like a machine learning model, basically like an AI model, which will be able to, based on vibrations of the microphone and vibrations of the camera, which will also shakes a little bit when I'm typing, would be able to say what I'm typing, because you likely have a lot of input, like me writing code on a live stream gives you a lot of great training data. So yeah, if you want to grab my passwords, do it that way. That's way easier. Verbatino writes, when your company will go to broad market with final product. So at the beginning we are going for services, which means that we'll be like, if you're looking for a training course for your company or friends, ping us. For the online website with online training courses, which by the way, they won't be just video training courses. There will be like, videos are not enough in my opinion. There will be like multiple different things, really different things. That will happen, my guess, early next year. And for now, yeah, like ping us if you need any security services. Will you make streams in English more often than every 7 months? That's a great question from KrzaQ. Yes, there will be a break 2 weeks from around today, 2-3 weeks, and after that there's going to be another live stream scheduled for, the name of it is going to be PCI Express from Hell, or to Hell, PCI Express to Hell. And that might be a fun one if you're building your own PCs, basically, because I had quite a lot of I gained quite a lot of PC building experience during the last year when I was like remaking my whole PC setup. And I learned a lot about PCI Express in the process, as well as a computer builder, not as somebody who is analyzing the protocol, right? So I just made this talk. I've already gave it at Google before leaving and got pretty positive feedback. So I have like an extended version basically ready. So that's what I'm going to do at the end of July in English. How long were you a SWE at Google? 12 and a half year, I believe, or something like that, close to that. Okay. What's your productive setup? I mean, text editor environment, maybe day, maybe I guess time of day, from Janek. So the text editor I use usually Sublime, which is pretty good. I'm a little bit thinking to change to Visual Studio Code though, but currently it's Sublime. I like it. Environment, a lot of monitors. I have like 4 monitors, 4 LCD monitors, and I can work with that. I am not happy working on a laptop. I don't like working on a laptop. Time of day doesn't really matter. I get a little bit sleepy between like, I don't know, 1 p.m. and like 3 p.m. or 4 p.m. But apart from that, it's like whatever. Michał Rise, reading Pass from Microphone Vibration sounds like another chapter from Silence on the Wire. That's one of I think most amazing books I read in my life, Silence on the Wire by Michał Zalewski. So I can totally recommend it. I read it pretty early in my career, and like you can basically see through the eyes of a really amazing security researcher like El Kamtaf reading that book. I fully recommend it just for that. Are you going to stay in Switzerland? I already answered that, but the answer is still yes. Cool. Let me scroll a little bit up. Nomad C4 writes, how does the layoffs look from inside of the company? Did it affect some of your colleagues that lost jobs without notification? I think about beginning of the year, the loud layoffs. Robert, hey Robert, thank you for the donation. Perfect. Napu Kebaba, zdaje się. Thank you very much. I am really happy to see my friends from Dragon Sector and Google still support me. Much appreciated. So to answer the question, yes, some of my friends were affected by the layoffs. Some of them were affected directly and lost their job just, in January, during just, overnight basically, and some of them lost the job in the prolonged process, which I described at the beginning of the stream. Yeah, it was a lot of people at the end of the day, so everyone knows someone who lost the job. Do you plan to do any Linux kernel internals courses? If I find the right person who knows Linux kernel well enough to make them, yes. Otherwise, not sure. But maybe. How did you get into Google? From Francisco. Hey, Francisco. So I got into Google because that's a funny story. I read some article about El Kamtov, the author of Silence on the Wire. He had some research basically, and there was an article about it, and I was like, hey, that's cool. So I sent him an email and like, hey, that's amazing stuff. And like he thanked, and I think a week later or something, I get a reply, hey, do you want to work for an evil corporation? And I like, okay, I was thinking about Google. Like I read Google stories somewhere on my bookshelf behind me, and I thought that, hey, that's a good company to work for. Reminder, that was like around 2010, 2009, 2010. And so I was like, yeah, let's try. So I sent him my resume. He referred me, and the rest is history basically. I thought at that time I was like kinda not ready yet for Google, and I wanted to try in like a year or two. So that kind of pushed my hand, but it was really lucky for me, I think. Hi, Dale writes, Twitter is dead, long live Mastodon. Good to see you there again. Yeah, I am on Mastodon. I am on on the infosec dot what? Infosec. Oh, I don't have even my browser, which has the proper address. Anyway, on the infosec Mastodon, yeah. But I'm also on Blue Sky. I think I have like 2 posts and like 3 followers there, but yeah. Twitter is behaving weirdly recently, right? Like all the drama around it is like, yeah. But let's not go in there. Let's not go there. Operator Vu writes, after the pandemic, do you prefer to work in the office, from home, or hybrid? So in general, I liked working in the office as long as it was small offices for small teams or even per person. I enjoy the office. Otherwise, it's too noisy for me. Like if it's an open space, it's like the worst of both worlds for me. It's like you cannot chat with your teams because you're annoying other people. Like, so if I have a random idea, a random thought, I could just like in an office, I could chat with my teammate, right? To discuss this. Sometimes really good ideas are born that way, and in an open space you cannot do that. On the flip side, it's also a little bit too loud because usually somebody like breaks the silence doing some other stuff, so you just have to sit in your headphones to focus. Yeah, I do not enjoy open spaces at all. I don't like working in them. Well, hybrid is kind of like, do I want to suffer through like an open space through the whole week or only part of a week? So I would prefer to work remotely in that case. I have a really good setup in my own small room in our flat, so I'm happy to work from home basically. Unless there is like a small office with a small team, then that works for me as well. Johnny writes, at some point you gotta think about using a VR headset instead of more monitors. Johnny, literally from the moment the first Oculus dev kit came out, which I also got, by the way, I donated it to some museum at some point. Anyway, I was thinking about exactly this. Like, is the VR good enough for me to emulate more monitors? And the answer, until now, the last one I tested was Oculus Quest 2, was that no, they are not good enough yet. There are like issues with them. I cannot use them as multiple monitors. Like, there are like multiple things. First of all, the resolution is like still not very good for working with text. It's good for playing games, but not for working with text. Second of all, if it's just like slightly shifts to the left, right, up or down, you get like smudges on the text on the edges, which, yeah. There are also other issues with it, but I'm thinking about exactly that for like as a way to use VRs, but yeah, not yet. KrzaQ writes, is working at Google harder if you compare it to other companies? There are problems which you will never find in a small company. Like, once I had to design like a protocol for to do something which was supposed to scale up to like tens of thousands of servers, right? This is not a problem I'm going to have in a small company. And it was pretty fun to design it, I have to admit that. So, yeah, on the other hand, like also in corporations, and this is true for all corporations, is like things go slow. Things are slow, there's a lot of red tape, there's a lot of like policies that you need to know or need to learn if you want to do something. So that lack of velocity is an issue in large companies. That's not unique to Google. That's, I think, true for every large company. It's just like how they are. Maybe not. If there's like a large company like where this isn't an issue, a company which employs like 100 to 100,000 people, I would love to learn about how do they do that. But yeah, and then in small companies, on the flip side, you don't have that. On the flip side, you also don't have, again, like 1,000 servers that you can just like take and fast, and nobody will notice because it's kind of under the radar, right? Pros and cons. I guess like switching from time to time makes sense. Did you play Diablo 4 from Hexploit? Not yet. It's somewhere on my list. I did play a lot of Apex when I was on sabbatical. We got to Masters, which I'm super happy about. That being said, Masters, by the way, Master is the top rank in Apex if you don't count the top 750 Master rank players, which are Apex Predators. That being said, in this season, apparently everyone is a Master, so that's like not such a hard brag as you can imagine. But yeah, but we spent a lot of energy on that. That was fun. Okay. Let me quickly look at what moderators are writing. Okay, perfect. Now, let's go. Johnny writes, I tested that's related to the VRs. I tested HTC Viva a while back. It was also subpar, but people said it was alright with Pro 2. I have not seen that one. Stefan writes, that's related to large companies operating efficiently or like with high velocity. Valve, maybe. They have a weird company structure. Was wrong, Stefan, I don't know if I said that. I don't know. I don't believe I know anyone from Valve. Daniel writes, your and Euro's 2013 box spawn is probably still my favorite concurrency hack technique of all time. Thank you. Besides your related, but also I think Euro's talk on 2017, has anyone else built upon the concept in other domains? Yes. In general, yes. So it's like this. I'm pretty sure Felix has done Zenpone, which was basically looking for vulnerabilities in hypervisors, I think, and he found some interesting cases there. That was like, I think, a year or two after that. And then there was like, I know another person has kinda... James Forshaw has released research on how to make, on Windows at least, access to memory even slower than what we did in Boxpawn, in the paper related to Boxpawn. And he could literally like choose the time. It could be like minutes and so on, because what he has done is basically like use one of Windows features which allows you to map a file to memory where the file is actually on a network drive. And if you control the network drive, then you basically control how long is the access to this memory, which kind of means that if you have a window of like just like move and then like another move, you can still like control this pretty heavily. So that was amazing research. I know about these two. I'm pretty sure there was more, but yeah, you'd have to look it up on. There's a really cool website for looking. I don't remember what's it called, but I'm using it from time to time. It basically, if you put a paper in there, it shows you a graph of all the papers that refer to it and papers which are referenced from it. You can like basically walk both directions. And maybe somebody has a link to that website, or at least the name of it, but it's pretty amazing. So I guess you could use that. Okay. Impler writes, I have an index and it's great for games. 120, 144 hertz. What's index? Is it a VR helmet or something? Let me quickly look that up. Index VR helmet. Headset. Yeah, VR headset. Oh, from Valve. I didn't know about this one. So Impler writes, but for work and text you need lots of pixels, not a lot of FPS. Enough to not feel sick is sufficient, yeah. Also, hello Impler, how are you? Gordonu, sorry I'm late, what's up? Hey, hello, how are you doing? Joel writes, for your company, will you use Google collaboration products or switch to Microsoft Slack? I'm not switching to Microsoft, that's for sure. I mean, I'm pretty used to Google stuff. And again, there was no drama with me leaving. I like the company, I like the products, and I know who is working in the security team, so I know these people are doing a good job. So yeah, it's fine. What's the company? Hex Arcana. Yeah, the company name is Hex Arcana. Hex being, hexadecimal, and Arcana being Latin for... It's actually a secret. No, I mean literally secret. Arcana is literally secret. Okay, what's the oldest post at your blog or some other forum? From Yannick. I'm pretty sure the blogs which were when I started publishing stuff don't exist anymore. I think I started publishing stuff in late 90s or something. Have you met Tavis Ormandy? Of course I met Tavis. I mean, I was sitting next to him for a couple of years, so hard not to meet him. Yeah, Tavis is great. I mean, he's a good friend. I really like Tavis. We played a lot of StarCraft and so on, so he's amazing. Anthony writes, Valve has so-called turquoise structure of management, I guess. I think I need to check what's that. Foxtrot Charlie writes, but what secret? Gunveil's secret, I guess, right? Or is it security secret? First Google result for Hex Arcana is in Google is a mod for Hexen. I like it. Yes, it is, and it's a pretty fun mod from what I saw. But yeah, I'm guessing in time it's going to change a little bit. Joel writes, did you ever stream your process for producing written articles? Oh no, I don't believe I did that. I'm not sure if that's interesting in honesty, because it's just me staring at the screen like this and thinking, wow, how am I supposed to write it? And then I write something and I keep writing and I keep writing. And yeah, and then I start more like this. But in honesty, like what I've learned about writing articles is that the worst thing you can do is write an article with utmost care and making sure everything sounds right with proper grammar, like, you know, having every I dotted, every T crossed, right? That's what you shouldn't do, because this is really hard to do. And it, like, the first step for writing an article, especially if you have a blank page, and a lot of people have a fear of a blank page, right, is to just start writing anything. Like, write anything, like whatever comes to your mind, what is on the topic, and like write, like do an info dump on the page, basically. After you do that, then you can edit it, right? Like, and you can polish it, and you can change things, and you can, after like another iteration or maybe 2 iterations, you can go to something, to a state where you can show this to an editor. The editors will, or like a proofreader or somebody, they obviously will find a lot of issues with it, but yeah. But like, don't try to write a perfect article from the beginning. You will fail unless you are like way better than me. Even, yeah, which is like pretty likely, actually. In all fairness, like, English isn't even my first language. Cool shirt. Thank you. It says easy times. Hey Julian, how are you, by the way? Okay, did I miss any questions from before? TKDM writes about the offices, like 5-10 person offices for teams. I guess like companies do it like differently. It kind of depends, right? At the beginning when I started working at Google, I think we had like 7 people in the office, and that was fine. That was fine. I enjoyed that. More might be a little bit too much, but yeah. Okay. Yeah, if anyone just joined, again, I would like to invite you to our website, which has absolutely nothing yet, but if you're interested about where we go forward with our offered training courses, with basically articles which we will be publishing related to our research or whatever we learn, but maybe like both small stuff and large stuff, both like for beginners and for advanced folks, then just I invite you to sign up to our newsletter. The address is hexarcana.ch. Okay, let me go back to the screen. Am I hiring? I am not. Okay, ask that question, Julian, in a couple of months when I'm kind of, you know, off my contractual obligations to not hire people from Google. But in honesty, I think the company will grow next year the most. Next or a year after that, if everything goes up to plan. Rafał says, on one of the Polish streams you had mentioned that if not Google, then you would like to work for NASA, or like in general for a company which does something related to space. Yes, failing that, I might create such company in the future. That might be one of my plans for later on in my life. We'll see where do we go with this. But I am not good with space, okay? But I am absolutely fascinated with all the technology related to it. Any Easter eggs in the website from Joel? Joel, come on, you know me. You don't have to ask that question. Okay, let's take a look if there are any more questions. If not, I guess we are already 1.5 hours, so we can slowly wrap it up. And again, not next week, at the end of July, there's going to be the PCI Express to Hell talk. And I will schedule it soon as well. So I hope you join me then. Okay. Have you heard of recent UFO claims? From Void. I don't believe so. Maybe something like I passed something on Reddit, but I'm not really following that. I was following that like kind of stuff when I was at the end of my primary school. I think I was like really a huge X-Files fan. Like I had a lot of posters from X-Files. Well, that's a cool series. I liked it. They don't make series like that anymore. In honesty, I have no idea because I don't even watch TV series nowadays. I think I'm just too busy. Not that I hate them or anything. Favorite hangout place in Zurich and favorite Swiss food from Daniel. Hangout place in Zurich. Forests around Zurich. That would be, or the lake, I guess. That kind of stuff in general. I do enjoy greenery. Favorite Swiss food. I mean fondue. I would have to go with fondue. Fondue is great. Cool. So I think we can wrap it up for today. Thank you everyone for coming. Thank you very much to my moderators today. That was Hebi and Foxtrot Charlie. Thank you for being here with me. If you speak Polish, I do invite you tomorrow for another live stream, but it's going to be on the same topic, so it's just going to repeat itself. Great, folks. As I mentioned at the beginning, I will be going back to more streaming. So in August, especially, there should be quite a lot of live streams. So I hope you join and enjoy. And for now, I wish you a pleasant day, a pleasant evening, and yeah, see you at the end of July. Bye bye.